Get out. You're broke, Victoria Harrington shouted as security escorted Charlotte Morgan from the Grand Wellington Hotel. Guests stared as the blonde woman in jeans and bonnet preo stumbled outside. Minutes later, Christopher Morgan's black sedan pulled up. The hotel's new owner had arrived, and he'd just witnessed his wife's humiliation. Charlotte Morgan tucked a strand of blonde hair behind her ear as she stepped out of the taxi. Pulling her black cap lower over her eyes, she gazed up at the gleaming facade of the Grand Wellington Hotel. Massive crystal chandeliers sparkled through the tall windows, casting a golden glow onto the pristine sidewalk where uniformed doormen stood at attention. She adjusted her burgundy sweater, smoothed her worn jeans, and hoisted her modest canvas bag onto her shoulder. Charlotte didn't look like the typical Grand Wellington guest, and that was exactly what Christopher had suggested. Just observe, her husband had said that morning as he kissed her goodbye. I need honest eyes on this acquisition. The management doesn't know I'm sending you. They've never met either of us. Christopher Morgan had built his hotel empire from nothing, acquiring struggling properties and transforming them into profitable gems. The Grand Wellington was his latest purchase, a once prestigious establishment that had fallen into decline despite its opulent appearance. Charlotte took a deep breath and walked toward the entrance. The doormen exchanged glances, their smiles tightening as they assessed her casual attire. One reluctantly opened the door with a curt, "Welcome to the Grand Wellington." His tone suggested she might be lost. Inside, the lobby was a testament to old-world luxury, marble floors, gilded mirrors, and plush velvet furnishings. Well-dressed guests milled about, their Louis Vuitton luggage and designer outfits making Charlotte's simple clothing seem even more out of place. At the reception desk, a young man named James Porter looked up from his computer. His professionally pleasant expression faltered when he saw Charlotte. "May I help you?" he asked, his voice carrying a hint of doubt. "I'd like to see your rooms, please," Charlotte said with a warm smile. "I'm interested in staying here." James's eyes darted to her worn canvas bag, then to her casual clothes. "Do you have a reservation, ma'am?" "Not yet. I wanted to check the accommodations first." His fingers hovered over his keyboard. "Our standard rooms begin at $800 per night. Suites start at $2,500. Charlotte nodded, undeterred. "That's fine. I'd still like to see what's available." Before James could respond, a sharp voice cut through the conversation. "Is there a problem here?" Victoria Harrington, the hotel's director of operations, approached with measured steps. At 50, she embodied corporate elegance, tailored black suit, pearl necklace, and not a silver hair out of place. Her practiced smile didn't reach her eyes as she assessed Charlotte. "No problem," Charlotte replied. "I was just asking to see your available rooms." Victoria's gaze swept over Charlotte's appearance, her expression hardening. "I see. James, I'll handle this." She turned to Charlotte. "Ma'am, the Grand Wellington is a 5-star establishment. Our clientele expects certain standards." Charlotte met Victoria's gaze evenly. "I understand. I'm still interested in seeing your rooms." Victoria's smile tightened. "Perhaps another hotel would better suit your budget. The Comfort Inn down the street offers very reasonable rates." The dismissal hung in the air. Several nearby guests glanced over, some with embarrassment, others with thinly veiled amusement. Charlotte stood her ground. "I'd prefer to stay here, if that's all right." Victoria's smile vanished completely. She leaned in, lowering her voice. "Let me be blunt. We cater to a specific clientele. Your appearance suggests you would be more comfortable elsewhere." Charlotte felt her cheeks flush but kept her composure. "I can assure you, the cost isn't an issue." Victoria raised a perfectly shaped eyebrow. "Ma'am, this isn't about money. It's about maintaining our atmosphere. Now if you'll excuse me, I have actual guests to attend to." As she walked away, Charlotte heard Victoria murmur to James, "Keep an eye on her. She looks like she's casing the place." Charlotte wandered through the hotel's public areas, noting every detail despite the increasingly hostile stares from staff. The once impeccable Grand Wellington was showing subtle signs of neglect, a chipped marble column here, a frayed carpet edge there. The service too seemed to be slipping. She observed a waiter in the lobby bar ignoring guests while chatting with colleagues and a housekeeping cart left unattended in a main corridor. She jotted notes in her phone, mentally composing the report she would give Christopher. The property had potential, but the management was clearly complacent, prioritizing appearances over actual service. When Charlotte entered the hotel restaurant to inspect the dining facilities, a hostess immediately stepped into her path. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but the restaurant is fully booked for lunch," she said, despite the numerous empty tables visible behind her. "I just wanted to look at the menu," Charlotte explained. "Our menus are for dining guests only," the hostess replied curtly. After 30 minutes of similar treatment throughout the hotel, Charlotte decided to check out the pool area. As she approached the elevator, she noticed Victoria Harrington watching her from across the lobby. The woman's lips were pressed into a thin line as she whispered to Eleanor Montgomery, the hotel's director of hospitality, and pointed in Charlotte's direction. Before Charlotte could reach the elevator, Victoria intercepted her with Eleanor and two security guards, Marcus Bailey and Nicole Peterson, following closely behind. "Ma'am, I need to speak with you," Victoria said, her voice cold and professional. "Several guests have expressed concern about your presence. Unless you're checking in right now, I must ask you to leave." Charlotte felt all eyes in the lobby turn toward them. "I haven't done anything wrong," she said calmly. "I'm considering booking a room." Victoria's laugh was short and dismissive. "Please. We both know that's not true." She gestured to the security guards. "Please escort this woman out." Marcus and Nicole moved forward, positioning themselves on either side of Charlotte. "This is unnecessary," Charlotte insisted. "I'm a potential guest touring the facilities." "A potential guest would have made an appointment," Victoria replied. "A potential guest wouldn't be wandering around taking pictures and notes. A potential guest would be dressed appropriately." Charlotte felt her face flush. "Are you refusing me service because of how I'm dressed?" "I'm refusing you service because you're disrupting our environment," Victoria said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "The Grand Wellington has standards to maintain." Several onlookers had gathered, including James from reception and a handful of curious guests. The humiliation burned through Charlotte as the security guards took her by the elbows. "Please come with us, ma'am," Marcus said, his grip firm but not painful. "This is ridiculous," Charlotte protested. "I want to speak to the manager." Victoria's smile was razor-sharp. "I am the manager. And I've made my decision." As they walked Charlotte toward the exits, Victoria continued, "This is a hotel for people who can afford luxury, not for window shopping or whatever it is you're doing. Perhaps next time, dress for the occasion." The lobby had gone quiet, all eyes on the unfolding scene. Charlotte felt a mixture of anger and embarrassment wash over her. Christopher had warned her that the management needed an overhaul, but she hadn't expected this level of rudeness. At the grand entrance, Victoria stepped in front of Charlotte one last time, straightening her pearl necklace as she delivered her final insult. "We've had your type before," she said with a condescending smile. "Coming in to gawk at how the other half lives. It's pathetic, really." Charlotte met her gaze evenly. "You might regret this." Victoria's laugh echoed across the marble floor. "I doubt that very much." The doormen watched impassively as the security guards led Charlotte to the hotel entrance. Victoria Harrington followed, clearly intent on making a spectacle of the ejection. A crowd had gathered, staff members, curious guests. Even the bartender had abandoned his post to witness the drama. At the front doors, Victoria stepped forward for one final humiliation. "Let me make something perfectly clear," she announced loudly, her voice echoing through the now silent lobby. "The Grand Wellington is a premier establishment. We have celebrities, executives, and royalty among our clientele. We cannot accommodate." She waved a dismissive hand at Charlotte's attire. "Just anyone who wanders in off the street." Charlotte stood her ground. "You're making a mistake." Victoria's laugh was cold and cutting. "The only mistake was the doorman letting you in." She turned to the gathered crowd with a theatrical sigh. "This happens occasionally. People think they can just walk in and experience luxury without paying for it." The security guards shifted uncomfortably, perhaps sensing that the situation had escalated beyond a routine removal. "Ma'am," Marcus began. "Maybe we should get her out," Victoria snapped. "I have a meeting with our owner this afternoon and I won't have this place looking like a homeless shelter when he arrives." The security guards resumed their positions on either side of Charlotte. As they prepared to escort her through the doors, Victoria delivered her final blow. "Get out, you're broke," she shouted, loud enough for everyone in the lobby to hear. "Go find a motel that matches your budget." A few gasps rippled through the crowd. Even James the receptionist looked uncomfortable now. But no one intervened as the guards pushed Charlotte gently but firmly through the revolving doors and out onto the sidewalk. Charlotte stumbled slightly, regaining her balance as the door swung shut behind her. Through the glass, she could see Victoria smirking triumphantly, already turning back to address her audience. "Let that be a lesson," Charlotte heard her say before the doors closed completely. "Standards must be maintained." Outside, Charlotte took a deep breath of the crisp autumn air. Her cheeks burned with humiliation. But a strange calm settled over her. Christopher needed to see this firsthand. The management wasn't just inefficient. They were actively hostile to anyone they deemed unworthy. She pulled out her phone and sent a quick text, "You won't believe what just happened." "How close are you?" The response came immediately, 2 minutes away. What's going on? Before she could reply, a sleek black sedan pulled up to the curb. The driver stepped out and opened the rear door, revealing Christopher Morgan in an impeccably tailored navy suit. At 45, he carried himself with the quiet confidence of a self-made man, neither flashy nor imposing, but unmistakably powerful. Charlotte watched as he approached, his expression shifting from curious to concerned as he noticed her standing outside rather than waiting in the